Good morning. Because it's morning when I'm recording this. That's why I look a little ragged out, because I've been up since 6 a.m., which is early for me, because I popped wide awake. And what popped me awake was realizing that the Audible situation is worse than I thought. A lot of the things that I thought they would eventually do are already in place, and they're already doing it. So stick around. It's worse than I even expected. So hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm John Hartness. I'm the founder and publisher of Falstaff Books and the author of multiple ongoing series, including Quincy Harker Demon Hunter, Bubba the Monster Hunter, and the Black Knight Chronicles. This is Gandalf. He's the real reason you're here. He is my sidekick and my buddy, and frequently turns my mic off when I pick him up with his big fuzzy patootie. But this time he didn't, so we're good. Come here, bud. Don't knock that light stand over when you go chase after your sister. Thank you. So the other day I released a video about Audible's new plan, scheme, whatever you want to call it, for sucking money out of authors who didn't sign up to be in their Audible Plus program and siphoning it to authors who did without anyone's knowledge. And I posited that, similar to ideas that Robin Sullivan and Daniel Green had put forward, that eventually this would lead to Audible opening up the Audible Plus program to every piece of AI generated hot garbage that is on the platform, and it would further shrink the pieces of the pie that authors get when you buy a book with a credit by flooding the Audible Plus program with AI narrated BS books. After getting a comment on that video accusing me of being ableist because I don't agree with the use of generative AI in audiobook narration, and it's not ableist, by the way, I listed multiple free ways that you can get books in audio without spending money, and there are plenty of ways that authors can get their audiobooks produced without laying out money. They can go through ACX on a royalty share model, like I did with a lot of my books. They can sell their audio rights to a publisher who will then pay to produce the book. There are plenty of ways to produce an audiobook without using generative AI. If it's not perfectly clear, here at Falstaff Books, we as a company, and I as an author, as a publisher, as an editor, and as a human frickin' being, am spectacularly against the use of generative AI in the creation of any aspect of fiction. And yes, I'm being fairly specific when I say generative AI, so if you come at me in the comments telling me that I can't use spell check because I'm against AI, I'm just going to delete your comment. I'm tired of this BS. Generative AI in the creation of books and artwork directly steals from creators. Their language learning models, their massive learning models, whatever the crap they want to call them, were built on the backs of stolen work. They have admitted this in court documents. 85 of my individual titles were listed in discovery for a class action lawsuit as being pirated to train Facebook's LLM, MMM, MLM, I don't care what you call it, their Meta BS AI system. I didn't get a nickel for that. That's 85 sales of my books that I lost. And 85 sales isn't a massive number, But for some people, it's a big portion of what they sell in a month. And for me, the fact that generative AI is stealing the work of artists and authors and mushing it into some unrecognizable mishmash of garbage is completely unacceptable. And AI narration is taking money from the pockets of audiobook narrators. Audiobook narrators are partners in the creation of the product. I love my narrators. James Anderson Foster and John Solo have done incredible work on the narration of my Quincy Harker, Demon Hunter, and Bubba the Monster Hunter series. Joe Hempel is doing fantastic work narrating the Black Knight Chronicles. These are real, living, breathing human beings that are my partners in creating this work of art, just like an actor and a writer and a director and a cinematographer and everyone who works on making a piece of film or television are all part of making this thing. It's a collaborative effort. And saying that a computer should replace one of those human beings just because you're too cheap, too lazy, or in too big a rush to do the work and pay the creators, I'm not interested in your opinions. Did I make myself perfectly clear? Good. Now, here's where it gets worse. In the comment where I was accused of being ableist because I want people to pay creators for their work and I don't want them to use a computer to read audiobooks, so that maybe if authors can't afford to hire a narrator or can't negotiate to get their work narrated by a human being for free, then they just don't get to make audiobooks. It was said that, well, you called me an a-hole for producing my book with virtual voice. I didn't. Anytime you narrate a book with virtual voice, it's automatically included into the Plus program. It took several hours after I read this comment for the brakes to screech in my brain because I was annoyed at multiple other pieces. But finally, when I heard that, I went and started digging. I'll link below to a screen cap of the page where Audible ACX says learn more about audiobooks with virtual voice. Audiobooks continue to grow in popularity, and this format represents a key earnings opportunity for authors. Accurate. Audiobooks are, and have been for quite a while, the fastest growing segment of the book buying market. However, only 5% of all books on Amazon are released as audiobooks. Yes, because narrators get paid a human wage, and that's expensive, so it takes time. To make it easier for Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP authors, to quickly and easily produce an audiobook version of their ebook, we launched Audiobooks with Virtual Voice in beta to the US marketplace. KDP authors in the beta can create audiobooks with virtual voice, computer-generated narration, in addition to the audiobook creation options available through ACX. In other words, no human being needs to touch your audiobook for it to be created. With virtual voice, authors can create an audiobook in minutes by can create an audiobook in minutes? Get out of here. That's not a get out of here in disbelief. That's a get out of here and literally get out of here. You're devaluing the days, weeks, months of work that I put into writing and editing my book by saying it's only worth minutes to get a professional narration. Screw you. So basically what you do is you, one, select an eligible KDP ebook from their bookshelf. So I did. I went to my KDP bookshelf and I looked up an old ebook, a small short story collection that I have no intention of releasing in audio. It's old work. It doesn't make me any money in ebook. I've never released it in print. Honestly, I don't give a rat's butt about it. It's something I wrote 12, 13 years ago, and the stories are fine, but they're standalones that never really went anywhere, and I didn't plan on doing anything with it. So I looked and it said eligible for an audiobook with virtual voice. So I clicked on the little button and it popped up and said, okay, choose from 80 voices. I chose American English, but you can choose American English, Latin American Spanish, Castilian Spanish, Australian English, British English, French, and Italian. That's not 80, but that's all they listed in their little FAQ thing. Authors can also set a different voice for each chapter. Yeah, because that's what every book needs, is 97 different narrators. Yeah, sure, it's fine for multi-POV stuff, whatever. But man, it's going to be jarring if you go from Latin American Spanish, Castilian Spanish to Australian English back and forth and back and forth. Then you set a list price, and then you preview and edit the narration before publishing. Authors receive a 40% royalty for a la carte sales. This is still the old model. According to this model, authors receive nothing for member sales or credit sales, only if someone buys the book through an a la carte sale. Audiobooks created from ebooks in KDP Select are also included in Audible's Plus catalog. So if you're in KDP Select and you make an audiobook with virtual voice, it is automatically logged into the Plus program. And since the audiobook I selected was not in KDP Select, they told me that it would automatically be enrolled in KDP Select. That makes it available for acquisition for free through Kindle Unlimited. So KDP Select and Kindle Unlimited are often used interchangeably. KDP Select is what we as authors sign up for. Kindle Unlimited is what you as readers read with. I did not continue the process. I did not finalize and create this audiobook. It will not ever be available for sale because I am staunchly anti-generative AI. But that's all it takes. So the floodgates that I was worried about opening are already open, because some schmo can generate an ebook with ChatGPT in, I don't know, an hour, maybe, then upload it to Kindle, and then immediately dump it in with this virtual voice garbage. And then they can have a book without a human being ever having been involved except for typing the prompt. Anyway, my point is that this garbage is already here. The worst thing I thought could happen is already baked in. It's not a tomorrow thing. There's no way they're keeping the Audible Plus catalog limited in any way, because they're rolling this virtual voice beta out to more and more authors every week. I don't remember how long ago it was that I was invited into this beta because I had no interest in using it. But every week I see notifications, hey, I got invited into this virtual voice garbage. So that means, oh yeah, and also in this, we plan to grow the beta over time. If you're interested in participating, sign up for KDP's beta email subscription list by following these instructions. So we're going to add more people to let them put more AI-generated garbage out on our website so that we can drive all the narrators out of business. So then we can slice the pie smaller and smaller and smaller so that authors know that the only way they're ever going to make any money is to jump in this Audible Plus streaming system for us. So yeah, it's far worse than I thought. And as authors, as publishers, and as consumers, we have to take a stand against Audible Plus. We have to stop listening to Audible Plus titles right now. Cut them off. No Audible Plus. We have to sign the petition. I'll link it down below in the description again. And we have to scream about this everywhere we can, every opportunity we get. I will be talking about this, like I said, at DragonCon this coming week. I will be talking about this every chance I get to anyone who will listen. So you get to be the first ones to get tired of me griping about this, because unless we stand up and fight, and yeah, I believe that some of the big names are already stepping up to fight, but I think there are also a fair number of big names who, oh, I'll let my agent handle all the business because all they want to do is write. Well, now's not the time. If you're on a bestseller list, you have a platform. If you're moving tons of ebooks and print books, and even better, if you're moving tons of audiobooks, you have a platform. If you're an agent who represents bestsellers, you have a platform, you have leverage. If you're a publisher who publishes big sellers, you have a platform. If you're a narrator who narrates bestsellers, you have a platform. We all have to use the platforms we have to fight against this garbage cutting out our revenue. This is an attack on the way we get paid. They are screwing with your money. And if you're a consumer who consumes a ton of audiobooks, you absolutely have leverage. You need to email Audible and tell them, we refuse to listen to this AI generated slop. And I've listened to AI narrated audiobooks. And you know how I know? Because they sound like crap. I've listened to them before realizing that they were AI generated. It's a little bit of a giveaway when they don't list the narrator in the beginning of the book. But I wasn't paying attention. I downloaded it. I got half a chapter through. I was like, God, this is terrible. The beats are off. The inflection is crap. You cannot replace a human being narrating a book with a machine. For more on my books, where I try not to be quite so angry, please subscribe, give us a like. But for this issue, share what we're saying. Spread news of this video. Spread news of Daniel Green's videos, because he's doing good work in explaining all of this. Spread the news about Robin Sullivan's petition on change.org. Share it on your socials. We're in this mess because New York Publishing didn't fight to restrict the unbridled growth of Amazon and Audible when they started, because New York Publishing didn't think that ebooks and audiobooks were ever going to become the massive market that they are. We can see the massive problem that they are, and we cannot trust big publishing to fight because they're scared. They're afraid of the 8 billion-pound gorilla in the room that is Amazon. They don't have the balls. That's the word I was looking for. They don't have the balls to stand up to Amazon because they're terrified of what happens if they do. So it's going to take grassroots movement from authors and readers and narrators and agents to make a change happen. We can do it. We've done it before with Brandon Sanderson at the spearhead. Well, I expect Brandon's going to step up and release some statements, but we're going to need a bigger spear. So if you got a direct line to Patterson, King, Colleen Hoover, whoever the monstrously big sellers are, get them on board. Because this is going to put narrators out of work, and it's going to dramatically reduce the quality of the audiobooks that you love. So protect your author's revenue and protect your narrator's revenue. This bullshit can't stand. I'm out. I'll see you next time.